the recent discovery in Nasarawa State where lithium has been discovered. Don't forget, lithium is used for batteries and stuff like that. It's a huge deposit of lithium in Nasarawa State. And that will lead to some other issues, insecurity, illegal miners taking advantage of that, and to also of many cities away. I'm not forgetting some recent in Zamfara and some other states due to illegal miners that led to a spate of insecurity. I'm sure recent in Nasarawa will not lead to that. What is a proper policy that must be put in place to ensure that issues will be tackled in the this morning to astray that is not that person that engineer who is a chairman talking about solid minerals group. It's a pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay. While also Comrade Amsa Mohammed will also be joining us via Skype, talking about the president of Nigeria Union of Mines Workers, that will also be linking us in the course of the program. But let me start with Ejina Awa Bununu. So much has been said about the solid minerals, so much illegal. Now with the discovery we have in our state, how do we ensure that we have policy that the citizenry and ensure that we don't have a spirit of insecurity? Because when something like this happens, there will be problems like that with that.
Thank you very much. I want to emphasize lithium is not only discovered in Nasarawa.
Okay.
Lithium is discovered in over 25 states of Nigeria, and they are in commercial quantity.
Okay.
But Nasarawa State is the first state to put up a machinery for value addition and processing of the lithium in the country. That's what makes Nasarawa a unique in the lithium in the industry value chain. But so many mining of lithium is taking place in so many states across the nation, from south, like Cross Rivers, coming to Oyo, Kwara, the whole of North Central, Northeast, Northwestern states. All lithium has been discovered all over there, and but Nasarawa is setting the pace for first to establish a processing plant to add value addition into the value chain. Yes. Yeah. So
now coming to my question, because the deposit material is discovered, the bound is paying security, and now put the right policy in place that will protect the state, protect the city, and ensure we don't have any security.
Yes, you know, lithium, solid minerals, under a exclusive list of the federal.
Yes.
So it is that one is being considered the federal, but the states that are hosting mineral and the community that are hosting this one have a very vital role to play as the rules and regulation that has been put in place. So the Nigerian, the regulatory framework put in by the government, the Mineral Regulation, the Minerals and Mining Act, takes care of all the measures that need to be taken to ensure that security and the economic interest has been taken care of. But our major problem is two. The gap we are having is two. Now the enforcement of this regulatory framework that has been put in by government, enforcement is a problem, and also aligning the mineral policy with other policies, economic policies like trade and investment, fiscal policy, energy, power policy. So bringing environmental management and climate change policy. So there are two gaps. First, the rules put in place, regulatory framework put in place adequately. Enforcement of this regulation has been. Two, alignment of the policies of mineral resources with other downstream policies like power, finance, and investment. So these are our major challenges. Yes, if I can answer your question.
Okay. Looking at what we have been able to, I know the government of Nasarawa State has with ways in which they can ensure that the states maximize some of the benefits. They are doing this to ensure that Nasarawa State, just like is different from what we have experienced, where there are so many illegal miners who are taking advantage of this without giving back anything to the government. Companies who are also showing interest. How does this help to also improve and also help the growth of Nasarawa State?
Yes, last year, 2022, I was opportune to be at Nasarawa Investment Forum. The governor made mention of strategies that Nasarawa State government is making towards investment to this. I will to the governor one certain aside of his generated revenue to help investors who are Nasarawa State to invest. But the challenge to achieve this objective behind, I want to advise the government to work with the private sector, because one of the gaps that the governments have been doing is that they work in the private sector to drive this. And when I mean private sector, those small enterprises that are working. So it's a very, if the government is including the MSMEs into the implementation plan, they will now do that because they can integrate the SMEs, artisanal miners, into the value chain, the industrial and trade value chain. However, I want to make case for this use of illegal mining. You know, mining is second culture. It dates back to history. As far as human beings, market as long as far back as agriculture. Miners, they are mining to develop equipment for our agriculture. So mining is as old as agriculture. It is the second to agriculture in terms of this peasant. So it's illegal. You just call it informal because they have not been regulated. It has been the communities as far back as this. They have been mining and been doing agriculture. Like you cannot say now illegal agriculture because this is what they have been doing. But they have not been following the regulatory framework. Them informal rather than illegal. There are very few. Some people are conniving illegals. They are just the minority who are spoiling the show because of my action and call it illegality. It's rather call it informal and go now a real drive to formalize this informal activity. So it is the government that has not been doing what it's supposed to do. That the informing and revenue loss against revenue leakages. We are against destruction of environment. We are against, but you find people, the mining host communities have been mining. They back to history. Yeah. It's not something they start to say they are doing it illegal. They are doing it. So I like that name, informal mining rather than illegal mining.
Okay, when we're talking about what used to happen in the 19th century or 18th century, we are the legislation, we operate communal system of government.
Yes.
But now we have a system of government.
Yes.
Where process has to be followed.
Yes.
Because if you allow everybody to continue to mine or continue the way there's bound to be.
Yes.
Just experience what happened in Nasarawa State.
Yeah,
so when government legislation in place, the government of Nasarawa are able to put proper legislation in place to that people, because let's say informally, proper. Do you think the government has done that to prevent that from recurring?
Yes. Earlier, this man had legislation of the federal.
Yes.
Nasarawa state government, whatever policy they are going, trying to see to put in place proper environment, proper incentives, and then ensure that they are the environment. But you know, they are working with federal government
Yes.
to ensure that informal mining is environment. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Insecurity are coming because they are this, if you formalize it. So this is what I want to call. Nasarawa state government is trying, but I want to call on Nasarawa state government to work closely with the organized private sector in this formalization of the informal miner. When we formalize them, being the case, all the insecurity can be addressed. So all addressed if they work closely with the organized private sector to formalize the miner. Nasarawa state yes, government is trying, as I told you, they are taking the giant step, even the value, the value chain development they have established in the second idea.
Okay. Goal of NA in all of this.
Yes. The generation of chambers of industry, mines, and agriculture has a strategic, sustainable private sector, public-private partnership for the development of mineral and management of solid mineral in the country. This is because the sector, solid mineral sector, is very vital achievement of all socio-economic and development of the government, because it is the most viable of regeneration and provision of alternative sources of revenue for the government to be able to critical activities necessary for the achievement of socio-economic and political development agenda. For example, employment, poverty, provision of infrastructure, peace, security, environmental climate change, all in the government. Solid minerals is one of the most viable sources of regeneration. The sector is also critically linked to almost all industrial sectors. For example, agriculture. For 65 minerals for you to develop the agricultural development goals, you need to develop your housing, transportation, energy, power, climate change, and require mineral resources. Yes. So the CIMA has developed critical private sector partnership, anchoring a lot of looking at the data.
Yeah.
Development of a strong database. How you can have the database of strong, there is no database that will attract investment into the sector. Then equipment leasing and technical services. You are also innovative finance. One of the major focus of NASIMA doing is to address the issue of database that will attract investors.
Yeah.
Issue of equipment leasing, training and technical services. Issue of innovative financing to address the issue of exploration fund. Issue of artificial miners formalization and development, environmental management, and so NASIMA is playing this. It has come up with an innovative way to address all these things if we work with the government as a public-private partnership.
Putting the concentration on this, we notice that this present administration is working on how to contain the interest of government, but there has been so much reliance on crude oil.
Yes.
How viable is the solid industry to alternatives? Because you mentioned the alternative object of the viable is solid industry revenue for the
Yes, I think as I told you on, solid sector is viable sector to provide alternatives of revenue and foreign exchange to government, because there are roadmap covered over 40 minerals in commercial quantities in Nigeria. If you take each of these 44 minerals, can give what more than what crude oil is giving. For example, the gold value chain alone, gold, iron ore, in 44 minerals, each one can give Nigeria what oil will not give. And apart from sustained sources. It will also play a role in the development, on agricultural sector development, on the power development, on ICT, all these things are mineral raw materials to develop the chain that I mentioned to you. So mineral is the most viable option for alternative source of revenue, as well as foreign and develop its personal and manufacturing base.
But why is it time to realize the importance of the solid mineral industry? The mineral deposits have been there over the years. Why did they focus so much on crude oil instead of exploring this? Because that's what the government is trying to do.
Because in my opinion, they want to get in the early 60s and the 70s.
Yeah. Solid
mineral were playing more than 15 contribution to GDP. Just on columbide and coal alone. So now, because they are getting the crude oil, the cheap money, crude oil, we are approach crude oil company. We are investing in the joint so much, even though there are joint venture operations. So, but the issue is that now why the government is getting the cheap sources of money getting from the crude oil. Government leave the solid mineral sector, but now with the trend of economic, the trend of the development, we have shown, but to come back to develop our own mineral resources, not only but for the development of our industrial base, for the achievement of our industrial development base, because solid mineral key is key to all the industrial value chain and the manufacturing value chain.
So many top companies have collapsed in this country.
Yes.
Let's remember some of the battery making companies across the way. I can't go on and mention names of companies that have collapsed. Yes. Because with emphasis put into consideration lithium in Nasarawa state and some other states in the proper legislation put in place. If they don't see a party or committee returning back to the scheme of.
Yes, that's one condition.
Okay.
If we can develop our local content capacity.
Okay.
Because if we develop our own local content capacity, our ability to process these minerals, our local content capacity, we raise it to a certain percentage. Government has only content in oil and gas. So there is a need for government to develop the local content policy across all these economic sectors. So if we develop our own local capacity, we are going to be, this industry will not collapse. Of course, with the necessary international trade value chain, international trade, so how we sustain our development, our system will not collapse if we develop our local capacity. So basically, the government has placed what they call national strategy for competitiveness, materials, and development.
Yeah.
So we need to develop local capacity to be able to also that this industry will not collapse.
Okay, and that brings us to one issue when we talk about development content capacity. Yes. Part of the agreement that the Nasarawa state government with federal government has to do with having companies who not only explore the lithium, yes, but they can find it, yes, and also make use of it, so we can also explore it. Yes. Because we have in the past, yes, where we just allow companies to come in, yes, they take the raw material outside the shores of Nigeria, yes, to expand. Just like we had in the 70s and the 60s when we had cocoa, that we had to export cocoa before we refine it. Yes. With what the NASA has done, by signing it, we sure not only explore the cocoa, they also refine it here. How massive is this to the growth of the solid minerals?
Yes, Nasarawa state have done a lot because they have been the first state to drive this addition and local content, a very critical mineral critical for manufacture of electric vehicles and achievement of our climate change goals and objectives. But I want to advise Nasarawa state government to its own local content. With the government, not only assessing this mineral area, but also of the consumables of the processing resource from.
Okay.
The raw materials processing, consumable that is required. Some rare parts of the machineries and equipment that is needed for the processing should be now get some loan also.
Yeah.
So that we can complete the local content. So that within some period we can be competitive in developing the spare parts and ultimately bring required for the processing of this equipment. So it shouldn't be process here. The government should now, it's a commendable effort by the Nasarawa state government. They should now work closely to ensure that the spare parts of machinery that require the consumable that is the processing are local sources from Nigeria.
Yeah. Look now, let's take a policy of federal government when they come to minerals. Putting the policy them with that, because some of the policy we have right now may be down 60s. You know the present being the with the current situation of things.
No, really, the government has reviewed the policies right from 2011 to 2017. The review regulatory framework have been put in place by the government of review of the mineral development. But our concern are just
okay.
Concern number one, enforcement of these regulations has always challenged because this tax with implementing these rules not fully to enforce these rules have been made. For example, in the private sector, DPR was able to do what it was of the support they got from the government, but the agents responsible for implementation, enforcement of actions properly they are not really sound. For example, mines department, they don't have enough staff or capacity to measure over 5,000 mine areas in the whole country. The mining cadastral are not funded to be able to act as a standard land authority. So all the gap that I want to call on the federal government, they have put in policies and regulations. Nigerian Geological Agency, for example, is not properly empowered to count all the geological mapping. So what the government needs to do in terms of the policy implementation is not place policy. But first, they have not empowered the agency responsible enforcement of these regulations. So there needs to be, said earlier, the sector went away how this ministry will be properly funded so that this is the ending of the agency, the challenges of the policy.
Okay. Yeah. I must say, big engineer, the chairman, Nasima Solid Mills and Money Trade Group, for joining us this morning, and also some of these are facing director and now government be able to analyze any available and put more policies in place, ensure that they get what they deserve.